Hi. So for this work, I thought I had started the camera while me and my faithful little roller were painting all this. But unfortunately, when I looked, now I had forgotten the record button. But here it is, sort of an abstract composition. And I had a lot of sort of, spontaneous little things I can glue on it. And I had made those. I had made some stencil-like figures before. So I thought those might go very nicely here. They're basically the same sort of palette as this. And I have one that is a very different palette that looks a little like an angel. Actually, it could be so flying here. I don't know what's supposed to look down upon us, so probably end up somewhere here. In terms of compositions, we don't want it to be too low, so glue this, or too high, not right in the middle. That's one. And then I have these, it's not even completely cut yet. Then I have these earthly sinners walking around here. And here, this is more like a bird-like one, so I could make this fly up. And then I have the original stencils here, so those might be interesting. Somewhere around here. I have this one too. I don't know, I sort of particularly like this one. I don't know why. It's really, all these are little nothings. And so you can see that my beeline is developing into bigger paintings. Because paintings like these, they take a long time, they take a lot of concentration, you have to cover up some of your, redo some of your mistakes. Usually you need several layers to really cover things. And this is much more intuitive and actually more joyful. So I will glue on some of the stuff and then I'll be back.
And here you see me gluing on the horizon. I had prepared some canvas that I had rolled green, sort of, accidented green, and I am now gluing it on the horizon. I put a piece of tape to sort of generally indicate where the horizon roughly was coming. And because I knew I was gonna put the angel on top, well, what I had started, the angel, here's the glue. I using a very nice wood glue, put it on thickly, so make sure the canvas is on the painting. I started using painted canvas here because it glues on a lot better than other materials like, plastic or cardboard, stuff like that. And so this is, the painting sort of developing into more like a landscape. So here I'm gluing on another part of the horizon. And what I really, really, really immensely enjoy is that, actually, it sounds a bit strange maybe, but what I really, really enjoy is that you don't have to paint all this. It's so much easier to sort of paint a sort of square of canvas and then cut out the shapes, glue them in, and they're all nice and sharp, and you can combine them, and also you can move them around when they're not glued to see how they're going to look. So it's much easier to compose. So if I compare that to my normal way of working, I would normally sort of draw this with some pencil or some crayon or whatever, and then I would fill it up with a certain color, painting on the color with a brush. I would have to, work very carefully if I wanted to keep it sharp. Then usually it wouldn't really cover in one go, so I had to do it again. If I was unlucky, I had to do it yet again. So now I have 3 trials, and every time I have to be very careful not to make it fuzzy. This is a much more, not only much easier and quicker way of applying it, but it's also, I think I like the result a lot better. So here we see the present state of the painting. You can already see that it's sort of, suggesting much more like a landscape. And because of that horizon, the orange part that I left orange on top also suggests much more that there's a sun there. Okay, so here we have the horizon. And since I had some green prepared canvas left over from the horizon line, I cut out a bunch of trees here. Well, actually, you can see these trees on the right side here in the landscape painting. So here I'm sort of trying out, well, okay, if the angel is gonna be here, so what is a good place for these trees? So here I have decided, okay, if the angel is here, then the tree should be here. Well, and that is, although it may look maybe a little bit stupid as you're watching it, but the great thing is that you can actually try this out in 100 different ways before gluing it, without having to correct anything. And that's what I really enjoy in this method, if you want to call it that. This application, sort of editing, method, is that you have so much freedom. So now that I decided where to put the tree, I am gluing it in right here. And it sort of merges a bit too much with the horizon, I think. But much later in the process, I am putting in some fruits in the tree, and that's going to be sort of covering some of this little, if you could call it a mistake. So here I'm sort of, pushing the cutout with a brush to make sure it's on really flat. And here I discover, oh yes, this horizon is nice, but I glued the tree over the tape. Well, in my life I have cut a lot of tape, so it won't be a problem really. I'll just have to cut around the tree a little bit with a knife that will cut the tape but won't go through the canvas. So a fairly blunt little hobby knife basically. And there you can see I can even cut out a little piece in the middle and take that out. So I will be left with just the tree and be able to remove the tape fairly easily. Well, there goes a little piece in the middle. Yeah, there it is. And with a little cut to the side of the tree, I can easily take off the tape. Well, maybe if I had been a member of the New York School of Abstract Expressionism, although this is not very abstract really, I might have left on the whole tape. But in this case, I thought that was not such a good idea. Well, interestingly, here you can see sort of like a circle of the white areas that are already like preparing for the coming down of the angel. Totally unconsciously, of course. So here I'm trying out the position of the bird. But eventually I decided, and again, this is the great advantage of this method, eventually I decided that there was not enough room for both the angel and the bird. So here I have the people in the landscape. Well, unfortunately, I'm covering up a little bit the actual positioning, but here you can see it very clearly. So, well, this would have been a nice composition in and of itself, a little bit apple-like, if you know the Dutch expressionist painter from Cobra, Karel Appel. But this is not how it ended up. So see, now taking off the birds. Could it go here maybe? Covering up the horizon a little bit. No, it's too... Well, that could have been good. Well, there's lots of stuff that you throw out that later when you see it, you go, oh, maybe that wasn't so bad. No, this is not a good place. Well, as you can see, I tried out a lot of different positions here. I won't, show all of that. I think you get the idea by seeing this part. And here I'm trying out where to put the angel, and basically I decided it was too much. Yeah, too many elements, too disorganized in terms of composition, because I already had some pretty heavy red elements in the background. So I decided, I was going to do away with one of these three elements, and eventually I did not do away with the angel, but I did remove the bird out of the composition. And again, the nice thing is I could so easily do this because this is not glued on yet. This is just sort of taped on a little bit. And by now I was also adding some of the original stencils. And actually it was getting harder and harder to sort of compose this. And not only that, also the angel was sort of disappearing, in the whole... the whole strength of all the other shapes. And so since the angel was my major player here, I ended up basically, or is the other stencil, I ended up removing one of the big other shapes in order to be able to make a good composition. So, you can imagine how I was, moving around these shapes a lot, and finally ended up with a composition that I was happy with. Although, looking back, there had been some other possibilities as well, but that's always how it works. You discard some of the things, and then later you might think, oh, that wasn't so bad either, but you have to make a decision.
And here we have the results of a lot of composing and moving and, adding stuff and, removing stuff. So this is what I ended up with. I don't want to put too much, I don't want to put too little. So I'm really happy with this composition as I have it right now. Here's the angel. This is suggesting his wings. And these are some... creatures, maybe people living down here. There's sort of vaguely the suggestion of a city in the background. And here's a tree with fruits. And the fruits are exactly the same color as the wings of the angel. I am ready to glue all this on, starting from the wings and up, starting with the wings and working towards the front. Right. Wing number 1. In my mind, gluing stuff is really expressionist. Because it's fast and it's impactful. Okay, I was losing my bearings a little bit here.
And here we see the whole painting on the floor with a board resting upon it and some weights on the board to press down the glued elements so they will be attached securely to the painting. This is a whole process that sometimes you have to do several times to make it stick, especially if it's cardboard. This is a piece of canvas I've been painting on to cut plans out that I could then later paste on the big canvas.